Hi VC, this is Bev here, and this video is my entry into Moen Rock's contest, which is the World Cup themed contest. And he's asked 3 questions. So I've got them written here, yes. Well, 4 actually, there's a bonus question. So I'm going to try and answer all of them. And I'm a bit, being Scottish, we are absolutely pants, which is rubbish at football. Hence the reason we're not at the World Cup. So, and also because I'm Scottish, Germany are my national team when it comes to these things. And since they've just been dumped out today, slightly gutted about that, but hey ho, because I always bank on Germany to beat England, who are Scotland's biggest rivals when it comes to football. But it's all very tongue-in-cheek. But as it happens, I'm enjoying the World Cup so far. There's 1 or 2 interesting results happening, and good luck to England. They're a great team. And, the players, I guess, deserve to do well. Let's just hope somebody else wins. Anyway, so I'm going to move on, and I'm putting a link below to Moen Rock's channel. That's Jacob. He is in Denmark. Good channel he has as well. So if you don't subscribe to him, get over and subscribe. So the first of his 3 questions he asked, because it's a World Cup kind of theme, he asks, show your favourite world music albums, which is albums by artists that hail from a country which, in your opinion, is exotic. Well, I guess exotic can mean a range of things to different people. But I was also trying to think of what I had to show that where I felt the music sounded exotic. So I've got 2 things to show here. And the first one is, it's an old cassette, and my granddad had this, and this is James Last, and it's his album Bluebird, which was recorded and released in 1982, and James Last is, well, he died in 2006, but he is a amazing German composer, and he had hundreds and thousands of albums. He was hugely successful in Germany and the UK mostly over his career, and this album came out in 1982, and the music on here is quite astonishing. It actually reminds me, this is going to sound silly, but it reminds me of going to the dentist with my brother and my granddad. My granddad would pick us up from school in his gold-coloured Renault 5, and he would take us down to the dentist. And dentists was a family affair when we were kids. We would all go together, and my mum and dad would come down from their works, and then after everybody had been seen at the dentist, we'd go home for dinner. And more often than not, quite a few times in the car, Grandad would be playing this cassette tape, Bluebird. Now, the songs on it they're all instrumental, but it's a little bit different to other James Last stuff, who's got a lot of, he's kind of regarded as a bit easy listening, jazzy, big band, and he has a lot of stuff where brass, trumpets and saxophones are, and this is completely different. It's, as I say, they're all instrumental, and you've got somebody playing a pan flute on a lot of it. There's a lot of keyboard but synthesized sounds, very exotic sounds, and there's bird songs. There's actually sounds of birds in the background on some of them. There's guitars, I wrote it down here, there's guitars, there's piano, there's violins, and it's quite a relaxing, soothing, it's very chill out type music. And you've got songs on here called, well, Bluebird, the title track, you've got A Morning in Cornwall, Lovebird, Proud as a Peacock, Kingfisher, you know, the kind of bird influence, the titles, Red Merlin, Over Valley and Mountain, Alassio, just amazing songs, very different, and something I would regard as exotic. So that's why I've put this in, not really so much as where the country that the composer comes from, Germany, but you know, Germany is exotic in its own way. I think each country's got its own individuality, obviously. So that's James Last and Bluebird. And the other one I was going to show for exotic is this CD. This is a CD I picked up fairly recently. Now, the band is called My Wrath, and they are a Tunisian rock metal band, and this album is, I think it's their latest album, yeah. It came out in 2016, and the album's called Legacy. And they're regarded as, what are they regarded as here? Sort of, they're described as progressive, oriental, symphonic, folk metal, that type of thing, sort of Middle Eastern rock metal. Their music is a little bit different to the standard rock and metal, obviously, but I really like it. It's amazing. I noted, I did a bit of research, and some of the sorry, I'm just looking at my notes here because I wanted to remember all this stuff. But they've got instruments on here as well as guitars, bass, drums, etc. They've got keyboards, but they've also got violins and violas, and they've got a lute on here. They've got something called a ney, N-E-Y, which is a kind of a flute. It's a wind instrument, but it's like a Turkish sort of instrument, I think. And it's just, it's almost got a classical feel about it, classical rock infused, and again, it is kind of exotic metal in a way. It's really good, really different. If you want something that is a bit different, I would definitely recommend you check this out. So that's my 2 for question 1. Now, oops. And his second question was, show your favourite sports-related albums or songs. I don't really have an album, but I have got some favourite songs. And the one came to me right away, and this is, of course, back in the 80s, my brother and I were just kids, so my dad bought this record for us, and it's the 7-inch, and it's the official ITV theme for World Cup 1986, which was in Mexico. Now, ITV is one of Britain's main television stations, and the other one is, well, there's the BBC, which is the other big TV company. BBC had their theme and ITV had theirs, and Dad got both of them for us, but this one is great. And it's by a band or a group or somebody called Silso. And the song obviously is Aztec Gold. On the side 2 is a song called On Wings of the Wind. Can't even recall what that sounds like. But this, again, it's an instrumental song, and it was the theme for the World Cup whenever ITV was showing a match. I have great memories from it. I loved it when I first heard it in 86, and I still like it today. It's kind of, it's very 80s sounding, actually, to be honest with you. So that's my first of those. Another single that we have coincidentally, it came out the same year. It came out in May 1986, and this one is by Chaz and Dave and the Matchroom Mob, and it's a song called Snooker Loopy, and this is in relation to the World Snooker Championships that would happen, and Chaz and Dave are an English duo, and this is a kind of a comic or a comedy kind of song, and it features the Matchroom Mob feature some of the famous snooker players from the time that were taking part, like Steve Davis, Dennis Taylor, Terry Griffith, and a couple of, I forget the other two guys' names, but all big stars of the day. And the lyrics are quite amusing, and it's quite a catchy, fun song. So that is the second one for question 2, the favourite sports-related song. I was hoping to show you a third, but I can't actually lay my hands on the CD at the moment, and it was just to mention that it's FC Bayern Munich, a German club. They have a song or an anthem, and it's called Stern des Südens, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's the best football club song I've ever heard in my life. It's like a rock song almost. So I have that somewhere, but I can't lay my hands on it, or I would have shown that as well. And last but not least, for the third main question, which is show your favourite drinking related albums or songs. Now, he said it could relate to any kind of drink, not necessarily alcohol, tea, coffee, and I racked my brains and I had a look through some stuff and I couldn't think of anything. And then I've been going through some of my dad's old stuff recently as well, and I actually came across where is it? This is it here. It's a 7-inch single that my dad has in his collection by Frankie Miller. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this guy, but he's a Scottish-born artist. I didn't know that myself. I did a quick check on him on Google, and he's had a fairly successful musical career, throughout the 60s, 70s. And this is one of his most famous songs, a track called Darling. But on the B-side of this is the song Drunken Nights in the City. And apparently, again, I went to Wikipedia, and this song, Drunken Nights in the City, where I wrote a note about it here. This is a song that he wrote. It was written for his late night drinking buddy, as he termed it, a chap called Jimmy Johnston, who was a football player for Celtic Football Club and the Scottish national team. I'm not sure, I can't remember exactly when, but I think he played in the late 70s, early 80s, Jimmy Johnson. I can't quite recall, that could be wrong. So this particular song is by Frankie Miller to his pal Jimmy Johnson, so they must have gone out drinking in the pubs as footballers did back in the olden days. They don't do that sort of thing now, the professionals. I've absolutely no idea what the song sounds like, because I just found this and thought, a song I can use finally. So I'm actually going to put this on and just see how silly it probably sounds quite daft. So that was to answer number 3. Now the bonus question that is optional, but I'm going to do it anyway because I knew I could answer this one, is his question was, show me any album or a song by a band or a singer or something relating to Denmark, which is Jacob's country, where he comes from. So I am showing I have 2 albums by this band. It's a Danish band, Danish rock band, and it's Pretty Maids. And this is Pretty Maids' debut album, Red Hot and Heavy. This was released in 1984, and it's on Epic Records, this one. I don't know if you can sort of read the track listing very well there. But it just comes in a plain sleeve. This is an original pressing from 84. And it's good hard rock. I quite like this band, although I've only got their first 2 albums. This one, and I've got their second album, Future Power. But they're still going today, I believe. They've released quite a few albums throughout the 90s and into the 2000s. So if I just put that one back, so that was the first album, and here's the other album that I have on CD, Future World. This one came out in 1987, and it's, you know, it's just really, it's a good album. They're a band worth checking out if you're not too familiar with them. And Pretty Maids hail from Denmark. So that pretty much completes my, hopefully that's all good enough to pass for my entry into Jacob's World Cup competition. As I say, sub below, I might put a link to 1 or 2 of the songs or the groups that I've mentioned if anyone's curious about checking them out as well, in the links below. So thanks for watching, thanks to Jacob, and we'll catch you all later. Bye.